Hello my dear friend, welcome back to my channel. I am making yet another gluten-free cookie recipe. These are chocolate balls. You will fall in love with them. They're so simple to make, require barely any baking, and they are just magnificent. You know, there are some people who would only rather have me put chocolate balls in their bag of cookies for Christmas, because they love them so much. The recipe is Swiss, very simple. 3 eggs, as always I'm gonna let the machine do all the mixing. 3 eggs, 350 grams of sugar, a little much, but this one I'm not altering. 300 grams of ground almonds. It's probably good to beat the eggs with the sugar first. Now 200 grams of cocoa powder. I weighted this bag and it's basically 200 grams. So I'm not even measuring. There's only left enough for one recipe. So I will just dump it all in. And it needs starch. And the starch is any starch you have in the house. You need 2.5 tablespoons of any starch, cornstarch, potato starch. We Ukrainians use a lot of potato starch. Tapioca, another variety of starch. This is tapioca. I have a lot of it, but if you have cornstarch, that's fine. Any kind of binding agent. And we need 2.5 tablespoons of this starch. Yeah, so I will have to cover it, otherwise my entire kitchen will be covered in, chocolate. Okay, magnificent machine. If you don't like to bake, but you like to play with the dough, these are wonderful to have children play with. Children like chocolate. You can use, instead of the almond flour that I use, almond meal. You know, I always have a bunch of different flours that are nut-based. So hazelnut, pistachio. These could be a little more pricier. The unbleached almond meal is quite affordable, and it is readily available in the US. You don't have to make your own. You don't have to grind. So it's all mixing together and coming into a sticky kind of paste. And of course, we will roll it in the plastic wrap and leave it in the fridge to cool down, congeal, let it rest. And then I'll shape them in nice balls, which will have to dry overnight. And then in the morning, they usually takes 4 minutes to bake. And that is it. And they are wonderful. And this recipe is old. And now it's very popular to make all sorts of almond-based gluten-free cookies. This I've been making for a gazillion years, and it's always popular with kids and adults. Let's see. It is done. This is how it's going to look like. You can even shape it now, but see, it's very playful. So I'm going to wrap it, and then we'll play with it another time. 1 year, my younger daughter was so, she was probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7. And I was making a ton of all different cookies, and she helped me till the wee hours of the night. And this was the last one for her to make. And her little hands were tired, rolling and rolling, because there's so many different cookies that I make. I always think of her when I make these cookies, because she thought the batch was over, but I had multiple batches. And when I pulled another batch when she was just done with the first one, I could see her being so disappointed. Anyway, these are wonderful. These will never disappoint you. Let me roll them and leave them in the fridge for a bit. So chocolate balls. Let's continue with the chilled dough. So these have to be rolled into the chocolate balls, so they're rolled as balls. I'll show you the size of it. So I have some water here, just warm or cold water to wet my fingers, because these could be sticky. And just roll little balls like this. They're about 1 inch in diameter. You can make them bigger or smaller. And I'm gonna roll this entire batch and leave it to dry overnight. They just dry out a little bit. This recipe requires very little cooking. And I told you they're delicious. The chocoholics, the chocolate lovers, and I have those on my distribution list for the cookies. These are even better than truffles. I'm not a very chocolatey loving person. I grew up on fruits, so my pastry tasted something more sour, more tart, more fruity. Chocolate I like if it has nuts and prunes, so it has to be interesting to me. But the chocolate connoisseurs love these. Buy some good cocoa powder. Some good quality stuff. Don't use Hershey's if you can. You know, these days you can buy really good chocolate. And as you see, I don't wet my fingers, my hands that often. They will be all covered in chocolate when I'm done. And then next morning, I will put them in the oven, pretty hot oven, 400 degrees, I believe, for 4 minutes, just to dry up. And that is it. All they need to do is dry and hold the shape. And they're wonderful. All right, so here are the cookies. They dried overnight, so they're nice and dry. And all I need to do is pop them into the oven at 420 degrees for 3 minutes. And that's it. Oh my goodness, you wanna see the huge deer in my backyard? Here's my cat, she's constantly watching. Oh, sorry, ran away. Big antlers, the biggest I've seen so far. See, my cat is going nuts for it.